What's up, Metal Summoners? We are headbanging, we are rocking and rolling, we are going to burn some witches, and we are going to have an incredibly good time tonight. As always, we got a special Monday episode right now. It's the Metal Summit edition of Raw or something like that. But we are going to have a great time as always. We appreciate you guys supporting the show, rocking out, knuckles up, rings galore, all that good stuff. Welcome back to your Island of Misfit Toys. We've got Angel, we've got myself. We're going to go a little bit of Salem to Salem today, and we're going to have a great time. We've got James, we've got Salem's Childe joining with us right now. First and foremost, James, thank you so much for some of your time this evening, man, and welcome to the Metal Summit.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's a really pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely our pleasure. And we're super stoked to have some great conversation. We're going to kick it off right now because first and foremost, man, congratulations are in order because Unbound has been unleashed on the world. And there it is.
Love that album cover, right?
Yeah.
No, man, we are super excited about this release. This is our second release on Pavement Entertainment. And, just dropped the 16th of August. And has been like the reception so far has just been off the charts, man. It's been incredible. We'll find out a little bit more news tomorrow or so. But last week we found out that Through Fire, the cut that's gone to radio off of the album, cracked the Billboard Top 100 last week. So, man, we are just floored completely, beyond our wildest expectations so far.
That's awesome, man. I mean, not only is that amazing news and congratulations on that. And of course, that's insanely thrilling. But like, do you have any memories, whether it's with Salem's Childe or even in other bands that you might have done of hearing like yourself on the radio or something and how that feeling is?
Oh, man, I think the first memory of hearing myself on the radio was actually with Salem's Childe somewhere around the year 2000.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, that was back when, being on the radio was like being able to put something up on YouTube, right? You were able to actually reach people finally, other than playing at a live show or, handing out your CD on street corners and things like that. Back in the days where people were still handing out handbills to shows rather than sending Facebook invites, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, man.
But, so, back then, to hear yourself on, the local FM radio station was, you made it in the scene, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So when it comes to Unbound, I want to start it off with the album cover simply because you and I were having a cool conversation off the air about that. And so tell us a little bit about the design because it's no pun intended. It's a fiery logo. Like it's a fiery album cover, bro.
It really is, man. We are absolutely in love with this cover. Rob, our guitar player, my wife, and myself, all go to this guy. His name's Bob Pelge, and he works with Left Realm Tattoos here in Kokomo, Indiana. And we've been going to him for years. He's a good friend of ours, and we've always, every time we go into his shop, we kind of admire the artwork that he's done hanging up on the walls and things like that. And he's a real big, like, Salvatore Dali type guy, loves like the surrealism and things like that. And, we kind of pitched the idea to him about doing the album cover for this album. And he was like, well, just send me the music. And so I think it was maybe his way of getting a sneak peek at what the album was going to be. But, so we sent him the music and, a couple of iterations back and forth or whatnot. And this one landed probably about 5 or 6 months before the album came out, and we just knew as soon as we saw it, we were like, "That's it. That's the one."
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, and it's great that we're able to help get our friend's artwork out there, and he's helping to set the mood for ours. It's one of those things where you get that physical media in your hand, or even you're just looking at it on the screen there or whatnot, but it kind of sets the whole tone for that album, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Here's the question though: did you make him buy the album, or did you give him one?
I'm pretty sure we gave him one.
No, absolutely. And just for something fun, do you or any members of the band have Salem Childe tattoos?
No, not what. Wait. I think Rob actually does have like a symbol that we used to use. like way back, almost like 20, 24 years ago or so. And I think he's got that somewhere on his arm.
Oh, right on, man. That's awesome, bro. So with the when it comes to Unbound, I mean, having new music out there is always going to be such a thrilling experience. When you look back at crafting this album, like how do you look back on how it all came together?
Well, this album probably came together about 3 different times over the course of 2 years. Uh, we started out we started out just building demos. We started out doing demo work. And I think that's probably the process that a lot of bands do. But we ended up with like 23, 24 of these things. And they were all good. I mean, like not all of them were hits, obviously, but they we all resonated a little bit with each of them or whatnot. But so it became a process of elimination, really, to try and get down to the 8 or 9 tracks that we were going to really focus on for the album. And so the whole process really was kind of interesting. We've had, like I said, like 3 different configurations of the album that we've listened to with different songs, different track listings in it. And ultimately, this one just kind of worked best. It was, it's not that we didn't like some of the songs that didn't make the album. We kind of went into it with the looking forward and saying, well, this would be great with this song and this song for an EP down the road, or something else on down the line. So it's not like we're throwing those songs away. We've got plenty of material on the back burner to kind of bring into the future. But these songs really felt like they belonged together. And I think that we laid out the track listing in such a way that they kind of flow into each other.
Nice. Absolutely. And a question that we love to ask the guests that Angel and I always kind of bounce off each other, or it's usually coming from one of us at some point, is how do you, especially when it comes to a new record, you've got previous material. How, when it comes to the live set, how do you look at something like that? How do you work things like, okay, we've got previous stuff that we're going to play. We need to have music that flows in together. But also in particular, when it comes to Unbound, how did it come to choosing songs that may have to translate live?
Well, one of the things that we talked about early on when we put the album together was we didn't want to have a song on the album that we didn't want to play live.
Okay.
Like I mean, a lot of times you'll have an album, and especially with a band like ours, where our shows are very high energy, very hard hitting, very aggressive, but we have songs that are a little bit more laid back as well, that have really kind of showcases Johnny's vocal range, and some of the layering that we can do on with the strings and things like that. And those songs sometimes don't translate well to an audience that isn't familiar with us, because typically, you first blush with an audience, you want to make sure that they're moving, they're having a good time. They're not going to really care what you played. They're going to care that you were just a blast to watch, and have fun with. But no, this one was really predetermined that each one of these songs we could throw into a set and just run with it.
That's awesome, man. And before I kick it up to Angel and let him take it away for a little bit, I got to ask this one, frankly, just for me. Okay. I'm a massive Colt fan. So You get to tell me a little bit right now about what's the deal with She Sells Sanctuary.
She Sells Sanctuary. This was a song that almost did not happen. We did a cover after our previous album of Plowed by Sponge. And that did really, really well on tour. And we ran into a couple of people that were, in the industry, and they, kept coming back to, well, we really like your cover. And, we feel like, you did a really good job translating into something that was you, but paid homage to the original. And it really connects with the crowd. And are you going to have another cover on your next album? And we got that question 2 or 3 different times, and finally we were like, yeah, why don't we do one? And Rob and Johnny had demoed Sanctuary out, just for fun. It was just something that they were doing on the side for fun. And they played it for us one day in the studio, and we all heard it. And we were like, "This is freaking great." When they told me that Johnny was going to be doing Sanctuary, I was like, "Man, are we going to be able to? Is that voice going to translate into something? What we're doing, because his voice is so iconic." Uh, but but yeah, it sounded great, and we decided, yeah, let's, this has got to be on the album. We're going to run with it, and to our surprise, a couple of weeks back, it actually premiered on the Corridor of Covers there on Cirrus.
That's awesome, man. That's so killer, man. When I saw that you guys did that cover, and I watched the music video, I was like, oh, this is absolutely a topic of conversation, because this is right up my alley for sure, man. I mean, I love that band, and you guys absolutely killed it, man. It was so good. Like, the vocals were so strong, and all the playing was sick.
Yeah, I was totally floored with the vocal job that Johnny did on this thing. And like, as far as the video goes, man, the setting that we were able to use, it's called the Charles Davis Mansion. It's in Shelbyville, Indiana. And actually, a friend of mine from work owns the place, and was very gracious to let us use his attic space to shoot the video. It was great.
So, oh, that's awesome, man. Right on. Angel, my guy, let's kick it up to you for a little bit, my friend.
I just want to thank you so much for your time, man. Congratulations on the new record.
Thank you. Thank you.
The old saying is, you have your whole life to write that first record. So when it came time for the second record, what was the mindset? Did you guys feel like any pressure on duplicating the first record or trying to do something different? What was the vibe like going into the making of the next record?
Well, I think we probably put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I mean, we toured behind the first record a couple of times with Doyle, and met a lot of the people, I guess, that he's kind of interconnected with. You kind of do that when you stop in the various places across the nation. And oh, thanks, Sean. But I mean, and so really, we kind of put a lot of pressure on ourselves to follow it up, because one of the things that one of our friends told us was, you've got a really, really good album here. Now you've got to follow it up with a great one. And, so that really set the tone for what we wanted to do with this album. We wanted to absolutely, have our best foot forward, and put together some songs that were not only going to kind of get under your skin and into the back of your subconscious and stick with you all day, even after they're done playing. We wanted that element in there. And we also just, wanted to deal with themes that people were really going to connect with, and add that to all of the work that Johnny put in, because his voice makes the album, in my opinion. The progress that he has made from the last album to this one is monumental. In my opinion, he's just fantastic. So yeah, this was a 2-year work of trying to find the right puzzle pieces to fit together, honestly, and I think we've pulled it off.
Oh wow! I'm thinking over those 2 years. Were any fans saying, bugging you guys as when the next record's coming out, what's going on? Any of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the last year we heard that constantly. And really, it was about that time that we were finishing up kind of like the pre-production round of what this was going to be. And we were just starting to kind of dig in to lay the final tracks in the album. Yeah. Absolutely. This is my buddy Sean, man. I went to high school with this cat, and yeah, he's definitely been one of our core guys or whatnot, and we've been talking about this album just about since we got off tour in the spring of 23. So, we've kind of it's kind of our fault. We've sort of strung people along a little bit as it's gone. We didn't plan on it taking this long for us to get it right, but we absolutely knew that what we put out had to be right, had to be the thing. And however long that took was however long it was going to take. And it happened to take about 2 years.
I just want to put this up for a little bit. That's the record. My question is for Sean. How many times did you bug him? Just curious to ask.
Oh man, I don't know. It was enough. It was enough.
Did you have to change your number a few times, or?
Nah, I'd never change my number for that guy. He's always welcome. He's one of those people that could show up at my door and I'd let him in. Yeah, just about every time he saw me. But it's hard because we knew what the songs were more or less, and I could tell Sean, I'd be like, man, we've got this banger. It sounds really progressive, but it's all 4/4 and 120. It's about as standard as it gets, man. And I can't play it for you.
What was the first song you wrote for the album and the last song you wrote for the record?
Oh, wow. I want to say it would have to be either Closer to the Bone or Bleeding the Savior would be the most recent one written. The first one would probably be either Through Fire or No Peace. Yeah. I couldn't tell you exactly which one of those two was first, but we put those two together very shortly after the first Doyle tour that we were on in 22. And we put those two together with a 12-minute song that didn't make this album that we are all absolutely in love with. But we put those together with that and kind of floated it around in our friend group and our peer group for a minute and got some feedback on that. And that really kind of helped us set the direction for what actually made the album. And those two were two of the songs that made it. Yeah.
So how does it work with what songs make the record and what songs you guys just put aside? Is there like a vote on it, or?
Well, there was some voting. We took several passes through the set of demos. The first pass we eliminated, probably about a third of them, and basically saying that if everybody wasn't thumbs up on the song, then it wasn't in the list for consideration. And so we eliminated about a third of them that way. And then we really kind of went through the process of putting different configurations of the songs together to see what worked and what didn't. This was the third configuration of the songs that we put together, and we just felt like it moved and it flowed well together. We shuffled the order of a couple of the songs, and it just made it perfect.
Oh. So when it comes to doing the live show, how do you guys, again, because I can imagine it's different. Sometimes you're playing 45-minute set, other times maybe like a 90-minute set. So will fans get to see a lot of the songs from the new record on the set list?
Yeah, the set lists that we're planning for October and into next year are very heavy on the new album. I think we've got 2 or 3 songs, depending on the set length, that are still around from Sin, that are in this tour set list, and I think we've got 1 or 2 from the very first EP, like way back before Pavement. that still crop up in the set every once in a while. But really, it depends, like you said, on set length and who we're appearing with that night. If we're headlining, we might sneak in one of the more mellower songs kind of in the middle of the set to kind of give ourselves and Johnny a breather before we just round out the set with some, big, pile drivers of songs, but if we're a support act or with a headliner that's particularly heavy, we like to keep the set moving. We like to come out swinging. Typically, like Warpath from the Sin album is a great opener. It was one of those where how everybody's kind of milling about on the floor in between bands and waiting for things to set up or whatnot, and the lights go down. And unless it's the headliner, everybody's still just kind of chatting with their neighbor and hanging out or milling around the bar area trying to have a cigarette. And we start, and the opening bars to that song happen, and you just watch the whole room towards the stage, and that's what we like. We just get off on seeing that. So probably that one is going to be a frequent set opener, just because of the way that it grabs people, especially in heavier, harder hitting sets. But really the goal at that point is you get them moving early, you keep them moving until they fall down.
So the tour that you guys have with Pissing Razors, are those like the last of the tour dates for 2024?
We'll have one date in Fort Wayne after that October tour. So we're with Pissing Razors from October 9th to the 19th, I think.
Yep. In Abilene, Texas.
Yes. But we're actually going all over Texas. We've got a date in Oklahoma City and a date in Wichita, Kansas, on that run.
Oklahoma City, 89th Street, October 12th.
Right.
Wichita, the next day, October 13th at Barleycorns in Wichita, Kansas.
Right. We got the Anderson Mill Pub in Austin.
Yep.
BFE Rock Club in Houston, Texas. Yep. Rich's Billiards in Corpus Christi. Bonds in San Antonio. The Zone in Abilene, Texas. And that's our run with Pissing Razors. And the fun part of that is we're actually going to get to do the song The Reaping with Joe from Pissing Razors on that tour. So that's going to be a total blast.
I was actually just about to ask you about that because I was like, I know you've got history of Pissing Razors and you've collaborated now officially with them as far as a release. So Angel, if you don't mind me jumping in for just a moment, how did that work with Joe? How did that come about?
Well, interestingly enough, Johnny and Joe were in the Navy together and, played a little bit of music here and there together and really just forged a really strong friendship. And then Johnny moved down to Texas for several years. And so, those guys kind of hooked up down that way. And so it was one of those things where we were kind of open to the idea of doing a collaboration with this particular song. And the first name that got thrown out was Joe. And Johnny was like, let me call him. I'll call him, we'll get it all worked out and we'll get that set up. Started sharing some files back and forth. And he went to a studio down there and recorded the primary vocals there. Thanks, Brandon. You're the dude. But he sent the vocals back. We absolutely loved them. Ended up using them basically for the second verse and all throughout the chorus. He's in there with Johnny. And when it came time to shoot the video for the song, Johnny was like, man, we got to just fly him up here. We'll just do the video with Joe. And we're like, what are we going to do? Say no. Let's fly Joe up here and we'll do the video with Joe. So we brought him up here for a weekend, hung out Friday night and did some final production on the album with like gang vocals and things like that. Sean actually hosted us at the MC that he's with for the video shoot, and it was just a blast. The next day, we spent all day in a hot, basically kind of like a pole barn type area, and just sweating our balls off and shooting this video and having a blast and laughing and just yucking it up. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute blast in October hanging out with those guys and getting to do that on stage.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Have you guys, considering it's to your guys' song, would it be Joe appearing during your set as opposed to you guys showing up during Piss and Razor's set?
I imagine a microphone will be a lot easier to carry on stage for a song than all of our gear. So yeah, we'll have him up there with us, I hope.
No, of course, absolutely. Appreciate it, Angel. Right back to you, buddy.
All right, and this is just a question about the whole thing with live music, because we hear about tours, shows being canceled because of low ticket sales. How urgent is it for people to buy those tickets in advance?
Oh, I'd say it's pretty urgent. I mean, Pissing Razors is going to be out there celebrating 30 years of Pissing Razors for these shows. So there's going to be a lot of really unique one-off type opportunities for fans of the band to check out at those shows. And for us, it's our second time back in Texas. So if you caught us 2 years ago and liked what you saw, you are in for a treat now, because only 3 of those songs are still on the set list. We've got all new music for you.
Yeah, because I mean, we're all guilty of it, where we'll wait till the last minute to buy a ticket to the show, even though we know we're going.
Man, I don't care if you buy in advance or you buy the day of. Just buy a ticket and come on out, man. Come party with us.
Bring a friend.
Yeah, bring 10.
Boyfriend, wife.
Yeah, exactly. Or wife's cousin. Whatever works.
Exactly.
Bring them all.
Now, with these places, are they like 18 and over? Do they have like an age limit?
That I'm not sure of. I'm sure it kind of varies from place to place, but I haven't investigated too deeply on the age limits for a lot of these shows. I have seen a couple that are definitely 21 and up.
No. Yeah, so bring them too.
Yeah, sneak them in. I don't know. It's metal, right? Whatever. Whatever happens. Yeah, but to kind of finish out answering your question, like after the run with Pissing Razors, we're actually we're headlining or co-headlining a show in Fort Wayne with Edema. For what, that's coming up November 2nd. It's called Reaper Fest, and I've actually got my other band playing in that show too. So I'll be pulling double duty that day, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
But that's it for us for 2023. And then for 2024. Then right at the beginning of 2025, January and February, we're going to be hitting the road. A couple of those dates have kind of snuck out, but we're going to wait for the full routing to get into the details on that one. But it's going to be a fun tour.
Nice.
I know touring January, February, and depending on where you are, you're touring in the wintertime. So what are the challenges that brings?
Well, we just got a new bus, so hopefully it's not terrible challenging. But we do know that we are going to be, crossing the Sierra Nevadas in the beginning of January, which is going to be fun. I've heard a few stories about that pass. And I know we're going to be up in New England in the middle of January, so that's going to be fun. So hopefully we'll be up to see you guys.
Yeah.
And get to hang out in person,
So
yeah,
we'll
man.
You there.
Yeah. But I'm not going to say that it hasn't crossed our mind, the challenges of what this may be, doing this in January and February, but we're up for it. We'll go through anything to get to a show, just about.
Yeah, we'll have a snowball fight.
That's right. If that's what it takes, we'll get there.
Yeah. I'm going to kick it right back up to you, Jay.
Absolutely, no problem, man. So one of the things I did want to talk to you that you would about that you had mentioned not only off the air but also during the live portion as well is, you toured a couple of times with Doyle, And I would just love to hear just about that experience for you guys, because like I'm a big fan not only just of the Doyle band, but I mean I go all the way the hell back with the Misfits as a fan. So, you know, there as much as I've seen the Misfits as well as the amount of times I've seen Doyle, I can't lie that there's not a certain amount of envy at the fact that you toured with him. So I would just love to hear a little bit about that experience, and if you got to spend any time with Doyle personally, because I've met him a few times over the years, interviewed him a bunch, and just kind of chatted with him. But he's always a very quiet. He's kind of an introvert. That's just always kind of been his way. But how did you guys feel on that tour? You know, did you feel like welcomed and everything?
Absolutely. We felt, absolutely immediately welcomed. The very first tour stop, the tour manager actually was the very first person that we encountered. And he comes up to us and introduces himself right away, and kind of gives us the rundown on how things go on a daily basis, and they have a pretty regimented schedule. Like Doyle shows up when he's supposed to show up, and he's gone when he's supposed to be gone. He's definitely on that schedule, and it helps to stay in that rhythm for him. And the rest, the tour manager just made us feel right at home right away, and that was not something that we were expecting. I mean, we knew that he had to take care of them and make sure that all their stuff was all set, but we didn't really expect for him to really kind of take us under his wing as well. And so, like, definitely shouts out to Eric. That guy was just crazy awesome. And then we ended up kind of, because Doyle likes to stay on his bus for the most part, rather than hang out in a green room or anything like that. Most of the time, we ended up with the A green room every night. So it was really nice of them to kind of let us do that. But we'd get the other guys in the band would come in and hang out with us and chill a lot. And but the few and far between times that we really got to spend some time with Doyle himself, he was a very gracious dude, super professional, very knowledgeable, and super willing to share his knowledge.
Nice.
And was like very quick to kind of make sure that we got connected with some of the people that were in his orbit, and that really helped us out, especially in the last couple of years, getting towards this moment, really.
Oh, that's awesome, brother. Did you get your hands on one of those Batwing bases?
I did. I actually got to hold one of the new ones that he's doing. I got to hold one of the new ones when it first came out of the box there on the first tour, and well, I don't think he ended up using that particular one on that tour. I did see one hanging in his rack on the second tour, so those things are just wicked. And then there's like two or three of them there that he's completely hand built himself.
Oh yeah, like the regular like Doyle like guitars, the Annihilator guitars. Yeah, I was always kind of curious if you saw any of like what Brandon plays. Like the Batwing, like
he had the Batwing on the first tour.
Oh yeah, the Batwing on the first tour, but he was playing something else on the second.
On the second tour, he had I think he had an American-made Fender PJ configuration, which was pretty interesting.
I have seen that though with Doyle with his Annihilators, because there are ones that you can see have like, well, basically in classic Frankenstein style, like they've got plates and screws and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and they weigh a ton, man. I mean, he's big enough that they're probably nothing to him, but man, they weigh a ton.
Oh no, for sure. Absolutely, brother. And just out of curiosity, at any point during the tour, did Elisa come out?
No, we did not get to meet her on either one of the tours. I think both times her band was touring Europe.
Oh, gotcha.
At the time, I think both times. So
oh, right on. I mean, yeah, you definitely can't mess with that arch enemy schedule.
Oh no, oh no. I'm sure that pays the bills.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Are you James? Are you a Misfits fan, or are you a Doyle band fan? Like when it comes to the music itself, because personally, I love the Doyle music, and I'm an OG Misfits guy.
I absolutely love the Doyle band. But of course, after you spent, that many nights with a band, by the end of it, you know all the words, right? And you're singing along. But like, I'm just a fan of those guys. Like, you
Yeah,
know, yeah, I'll be at a Doyle show just as quick as I'm at a Cancer Slug show, just as quick as if I could manage to score tickets to an OG Misfits show at this point, I would, I'd be there too.
yeah,
I just love to support those guys.
yeah.
But no, I mean, I really like the Doyle stuff. I'm really into the Cancer Slug stuff. And maybe I get smacked for saying this or whatnot, but I was kind of more of a Black Flag guy.
That's cool, man. No worries. I just I love Black Flag. I just never. The funny thing is, I'm a little bit more like into like certain types of like metal when it comes to that kind of stuff. So the funny thing is, and fans that are watching that understand what I'm getting at. There's no disrespect in this segment of the show. I'm just going to put that out on Front Street, and everybody's going to know what I'm about to talk about when I say it. So I love the Misfits. I always have loved the Misfits. I go all the way back with those songs. Me specifically, when the Misfits is, I'm a 90s era Misfits guy. I'm a Michael Graves guy. The
Okay.
thing is stylistically, that's my style of music. And don't get me wrong, I love Last Caress, Die My Darling, London Dungeon, Death Comes Ripping. I can go on and on with the entire Danzig catalog. But the funny thing is I was a fan of Danzig as a metal guy before I actually realized that he was the Misfits singer. I was Danzig through Sam Hain and then the Danzig band, because I love Eerie Von and I love John Christ, and Danzig's just Danzig. I love, Mother and Twist of Cain and Dirty Black Summer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was into that stuff. When the Misfits, when Jerry got the rights to tour again and they rebooted basically as Misfits 2.0, I really love those two albums. I think American Psycho and I think Famous Monsters are just absolutely genius.
Yeah, Monsters is one of my favorite albums of all times, really.
Oh, yeah. So good. And also over the years, Michael and I had also become personal friends. I've his manager, Arturo, is a very dear friend of mine. Arturo's gotten to know Angel in recent time as well. And there's plenty I can speak on of certain situations, but that's not for this episode, because it's just not relevant. But when it comes to the music and the style, like, I love that. I loved Michael as a performer. So I was really big into that particular era of the Misfits. I saw the Misfits many times when it was, Jerry's band, and Jerry had always treated me like one of his kids. I even toured with Jerry in the Misfits.
Nice.
Back around 2010, 2011. I did an East Coast swing when I was working with a band called Juicehead that was on the tour. And and it's just always really great. But yeah, anyway, to steer it back around, I love the Doyle sound, the band. Alex is a great. He's a doll. Brandon's super duper awesome. I saw him when he had Tiny drumming in the band, and I also saw him when he had Brandon at one point. Before Brandon went off to do Manson and went off to now do The Offspring. But I mean, my number one song though in the Doyle catalog by far though is Valley of Shadows. That's absolutely my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Valley of Shadows that's a solid song. I mean, obviously, they come out ripping Annihilator, just hard. And but I think the song that resonated with me the most while I was on tour was I Dream of Dead Girls.
Dude, that's my number two.
Dude, fucking love that song.
So
Because every
good.
so often, I mean, you obviously you've seen the show, so you know Alex.
Yep.
And you know how he introduces each song, right?
Yeah.
And what was great was that song. That song every so often, like once in a blue moon, that song wasn't a love song. That song was about fucking.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that. I just love that. Yeah.
No, absolutely, man, for sure. When it comes to getting out on the road, how do you guys, look at that time on the road? Are you road dogs? Like if tour opportunities come a calling, are you down for the cause and get like super jazzed about, being out in what I like to call the germ box and stuff like that? Like are you guys road people when it comes to touring?
I mean, I really think it depends on the guy. I mean, I know that myself and Johnny, we live for it. I mean, that's you know, writing music is great. I love the creative process. Studio time is fun. It's different. It's a break from the norm. It's not just practice, practice, practice. But man, playing these songs in front of people is where I get my nut. I mean, that's that's where it is for me. I know I know that's where it's at for Johnny. I know, kind of Rob and Scott kind of like the studio and songwriting aspect of it a little bit more. And Mark, he's the FNG of the band. We just brought him in a few months back on guitar for us, and I mean he's hit the ground running or whatnot. And I think he might have some road dog in him.
Nice, man. Hell yeah. Angel, my friend, let's kick it over to you. And it looks like we might be getting a little action from the Metal Summoners and the Salem's Children.
Oh yeah, there's something about the song. I think you should dance to it. So my question is, do you prefer 4-string, 5 or 6-string bass?
It really depends on the project. Salem's Child's always kind of been a 4-string project, especially because we do a lot of drop tunings. So it just kind of made sense to run the 4-string. I think the majority of this album is in C, and so it's really easily within the range of a 4-string. You just bring your string gauge up a little bit and whatnot. But then I'm in another project called Master Hunter that I'm using 5 strings for. I'm actually using a 5-string multi-scale with that project.
Wow.
Yeah. So it like I say, it really depends on the project and what the song individually needs. If I need that little bit of extra range, I'd never hesitate to grab a 5 for Salem's Child if it needed it. But really, so far the 4 strings have done just fine. Especially with like a 2 guitar setup or whatnot. There's, thank you, Sean. Appreciate you, brother. But like for the most part, unless it's like a seriously deep, like sludgy, like grunge, doom metal type situation, I'll probably stick to a 4 just because it's easier for me. I've kind of got short, stubby fingers.
Okay. Let me get to a question from Brian. Credit 2 bands for shaping your sound. Who are they?
Okay. This is not difficult for me. Like for me personally, like shaping my sound, I would credit like Discipline era King Crimson, which is like Tony Levin, the way that he approaches the bass and some of the kind of interesting things that he likes to do tone wise. He uses like a Music Man and it just has that big round kind of growly sound to it. And then the other end of that would be Tool's first bass player, Paul. He's just got this great like growly deep sound on the lower strings with this kind of ring to the string up at the top end. And so what you've got is you've got like this really super compressed low end and this ringing almost distorted high end on it. and I just love that sound.
So when it comes to going on the road, how many basses do you take with you?
Typically, I'll take two. I've got two Spectre Euros that I take. One's a LX, one's an LT. The LX has been modified a bit. I dropped a LHZ preamp in it, so now it sounds kind of like the 80s USA Spectres, like you would have heard like on Operation Mindcrime or the early Alice in Chains albums. That kind of growly tone. So it's really kind of got that in there. And so those two pretty much I use interchangeably. The LT's very limited edition. It's a Euro model, which is one of their like production models. But this was a very short, limited run, and there happens to be like 8 other 4-strings like this in the world. But it's all blacked out. I like it. Here, I'll show it to you. I'm really proud of this guy.
Oh my Lord.
I don't know how well you can see it, but it's all blacked out, all black hardware with the ebony fretboard and the inlays.
Yes, basses.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the two basses that I'll take with me for Salem's Child. For Master Hunter, I've got a Spectre Dimension 5-string that I've changed the pickups and the preamp in that one, and then a Spectre NS 2000 5-string that I use.
The last time it turned into a crazy story. The craziest thing you've seen on stage, either in the crowd or on stage.
Oh man, in Brooklyn, the first time around on the Doyle tour, we were 3 or 4 songs deep into the set, and we had kind of like the band before us had kind of got the crowd worked into a bit of a frenzy. And then we got up there, and like from the very first song, we knew it was going to be a rowdy bunch. And the 3rd or 4th song in, we just see a guy go down in the pit, and his leg is turned in a way that it should not be turned.
Oh.
So, everybody's just kind of still moving around or whatnot. And I'm trying to get Johnny's attention. Rob's trying to get Johnny's attention. We got to stop the song, get this guy cleared out or whatnot. It's not something where we can just pull him up and get him back on his feet and off he goes. He's not standing. He's going to be laying there until somebody comes get him. So it was kind of nuts, man. We had to stop the song, and once he got cleared away and got set up with a special merch package from us to help soothe his pain a little bit, we got right back to it, and fortunately the crowd picked right back up, and we were able to get the show done.
Dang, that guy still has a football injury.
Oh yeah, man, it was nuts, man. The guy's leg was turned. I was kind of like this, except the other way. Yeah, not good, not good.
Well, we will beat the hell out of each other on stage.
Yeah, there was a project that I was in prior to coming back into Salem's Child. That was called Born Under Burden, and we kind of had a thing where we would do most of the moshing on stage with each other, and there were some shows where we would just beat the hell out of each other. I've been chased around the stage with a lawnmower in that band, like a push lawnmower, just crazy. There a lot of crazy things happen with that band, but with this band, probably seeing a guy make himself double jointed on his knee is probably the craziest thing so far.
How did nobody stop playing their instruments and put their head down? Like, damn, look at that injury.
Oh no, we stopped. We ended up stopping the song, but man, yeah, that was just nuts to see. You want people to get into it, but you want everybody to stay safe and not get hurt.
Yeah, that's. Brian wants to know, describe your sound in 60 seconds.
Okay, the elevator pitch on the Salem's Child Sound is it's raw, aggressive, straightforward metal, man. We're going to throw some elements of thrash at you. We're going to throw maybe a few prog metal elements at you, but we're going to keep it nice and simple for the most part, straight in your face, and you're going to have a good time.
How did you get signed to Pavement Entertainment?
The band that I was talking about previously, Born Under Burden, had played a couple of shows opening for Soil. So we developed a relationship with Tim. And over the years, I had kind of run an independent little DIY label out of Central Indiana called Midwest Hell Melodies. And we had occasionally sent him some of our artists for consideration for Pavement, and we never really heard anything back. After we finished up Sin, it was just kind of one of those. He was one of the guys that we sent it out to, and they got back to us, and finally we got a response from them. They were like, "Yeah, let's talk. Let's see what we can do with this." And and looking back on it, I think it was probably the right time for us. It was we finally got the right configuration of the band, and we got the right material put together that we could use as a foundation for a release through a label. And this time around, it was kind of a no-brainer to go with them. I think they've kind of figured out the wrinkles of like the modern music business, the way that it is now. I think they've kind of got it sorted out, where a lot of other labels are still just looking strictly at Spotify and socials and things like that, where, Pavement's, engaging FM radio and engaging XM radio and getting you guys pulled into the mix and having us, come on here and talk to you guys and putting us on tour with some great bands and getting us out there in ways that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to do ourselves. So, big, huge shouts to those guys. We owe them a lot.
We definitely love Pavement because they're always generous with us, with giving us artists to interview. Hey, can you interview so and so? And 100% of the time we say yes, because we love them, but they kind of run like a tight ship of everybody does something. Like the person we contact to book the interviews, we stay in contact with them.
Oh yeah,
throughout, even just to say hello. So definitely kudos to Pavement Entertainment for keeping rock music alive and keeping the rock and roll train rolling. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they've also always been very understanding of me and Angel as well. Like when it comes to the show, Angel and I have been very blessed with the ability to like book talent like in advance and stuff like that, to where we don't have another opening currently on our normal show, which is on Wednesday nights, until like mid-October. And it's great. And it's like, that is never a bad problem to have. But that's also something we really love about Pavement, is they're also willing to work with us while they've, taken a fancy to us as a show that they enjoy that can benefit their artists. They're very understanding that it's like, okay, well, we don't want to wait 2 months to get our talent on the show, but what can we do? How can we work? What's your guys' schedule? And that's always something that Angel and I really appreciate, where he and I can put our heads together and be like, hey, what's our schedule right now? Are either one of us going to a show where this night of the week might not be good? Because he and I are big communication guys. So like, it's, we're always very appreciative also of Pavement in that way, of also, understanding that, like, certain schedules need to just kind of be figured out, but we always got you.
That's awesome. And it's great. It's got to be a team effort like that, even, like across different platforms and things like that. Cause there's so much as an artist or somebody trying to promote an artist to do these days. There's so much to try and keep up with. And, forging partnerships like that it's the only way to survive in this industry at this point.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's great. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you guys.
Oh, of course. It's so happy to have you, James. Absolutely. Right back to you, Angel.
Good question from Brian. You play Riot Fest and pick 3 bands to open and or headline. What bands are joining you?
Okay. Pick 3 bands to open or headline. So ourself and 3 other bands, huh?
Yep.
So if it's Riot Fest, we're talking. This is Chicago, right? Riot Fest.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got Machine Head.
Nice.
We've got Ministry. And you know what? Just because I saw them in Chicago and they put on one hell of a show and got a crowd in a frenzy, we're bringing Dillinger Escape Plan with us.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got your straight ahead metal, you've got your industrial, and you've got your just crazy extreme math metal. And Dimitri's back with them now, so that's just delicious for me.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna kick it right back up to you, Jay. It's at the top of the hour already. That's on.
I know, man. We're kicking ass. This is going great. So, James, one Salem to another, man. Where'd the name come from?
Oh man, would you believe that it was the name of the cat of our original singer? Our original singer's cat.
Nice.
And like, so that's the really lame story.
Oh, you're a bunch of little kittens.
Well, we were little kids at the time, man. We were
little kittens.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're all little kittens. We're Salem's children. Their progeny, and it was kind of weird. It was something that we thought ended up being kind of cool. It looked cool on the logo or on a sticker, and so we just kind of ran with it. And now here we are, almost 30 years later. It's too late to freaking change it now.
Yeah. Absolutely, man, for sure.
I mentioned top of the hour, and then we get 2 more fan questions. So let me get those before you get back up to Jay.
Of course, man. No worries.
We have to serve the fans, right?
Yes,
serve
we do.
The fans. Serve it up.
Who is your dream band to play a show with? You
know what? My dream band right now to play a show with would probably be Killer Be Killed.
Ooh.
I know it's a super group or whatnot, but that's the only way I'm going to get like guys from some of my favorite places all together at once. Yeah, like their first album came out, a couple years back, and I put it in my CD player, and I was just like, God damn, this is metal. This is like it's not death metal. It's not thrash metal. It's not glam metal. It's not horror metal. It's just metal. It's just metal. The way that it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if I could play a show with any band right now, it would probably be Killer Be Killed.
Oh man. Now this next question. Is there anything you'd like to confess on the Metal Summit?
Now I've got to come up.
That's a Brian question, isn't it?
It appears to be so.
Of course it is. Love you.
Is there anything that I would like to confess to the Metal Summit? I will confess to the Metal Summit that I am not originally a bass player. I was originally a rhythm guitar player before I started playing bass.
Oh.
So,
we understand, my son. Upside down cross.
Thank you. Now I am cleansed. Or maybe I'm dirty. So
define dirty.
Oh gosh, that would be a whole nother confession, Angel.
So how did you land on bass then?
I landed on bass basically because we needed one. I had played rhythm guitar all the way up through 99 and into the start of 2000 with the band, and then the guy that we had singing and playing bass for us at the time quit, and we were able to find a singer, but we were not able to find a bass player. So we just changed the configuration of the band a little bit, and I moved over to bass, and really had no clue what I was doing as a bass player to start out with. But once I started getting into it, it felt like I finally found a pair of pants that fit just right, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are you happier there?
Absolutely. I think that this is a far more natural instrument for me to be on. Uh, I probably think more like a bass player than I ever did as a rhythm guitar player. And while I still occasionally pick up a guitar and play,
Mhm.
I don't think I'd ever go back.
Nice.
I'm going to make this next question a round table because it's really fun question.
Okay, what do you got
Who,
as far as
who
Angel?
is your Mount Rushmore of bassist?
My Mount Rushmore of bassists. Well, we'll start, I guess, probably with the more obscure, and I'll say Rufus Reed. He was a bass player who played with Dexter Gordon for a number of years. Was how I came across, and just an absolutely impressive jazz bass player. And I stumbled onto one of his books called "The Evolving Bass Player," or "The Evolving Bassist," and it basically, once I started feeling at home on the instrument, I picked that up and started really working through some of his exercises and things like that. Next up would be Victor Wooten. Victor is just an incredible bass player. I've had an opportunity to meet a couple of times at NAMM, and just like every word that drops from the guy's mouth is wisdom. I mean, he's having a conversation with you, and you don't even realize it, but the man is just teaching you things. Um, and uh, you know, Paul Diamore from Tool would be on there. I just absolutely love his approach to bass as an instrument like no other. And then I'd have to go with Papa Bear himself. I'd have to go with Tony Levin from King Crimson, Peter Gabriel, and all kinds of other artists.
Jay, I'm curious about your selection.
All right, yeah. So mine's kind of like a mixture of like the people that influence my bass playing and how I present myself on stage, mixed with the people who I just like truly like admire. Like, while he's not going to ever be considered a stellar or top level bass player. Nikki Sixx is on my Mount Rushmore for Motley Crue because when it comes to like my stage like presence, just the way, I'm one of those kind of like glam style, like, bass in front of my groin kind of guys, like low strap kind of guys. It's my comfort zone. That's how I played. I'm a pick player. Like that's how it is. And I've always been a Motley Crue guy. So like as far as like how I move on stage is kind of the area that I take up. Nikki has a lot to do with that. I'm actually a very big Sean Isolt fan. Stylistically, I think she from White Zombie is incredibly underrated. I think that she is often left out of a lot of bass player conversations when it comes to that kind of stuff. Also from like the glam metal area, Rachel Bolan from Skid Row. I've always loved the way that he carries himself. I always love the way that he plays, and especially the way a lot of those songs are constructed, because like I am not what you would call like a fretboard expert by any means, and those Skid Row songs are very fret heavy songs that I think a lot of people don't understand. I think they'll think of something like Skid Row and think of songs like Poison or like Motley Crue, which is more of kind of Ride the E String kind of a thing, that traditional glam style, which is fine. That's kind of my style of playing. But there's a lot of fret work that comes behind those Skid Row songs, which I've always really appreciated.
Really impressive runs in there. Yeah, for sure.
100%. And, and the late, great Peter Steele. I'm a huge Typo Negative guy. And I love just what Peter gave us in the time that like he was here. Just because of how much I love Typo Negative, that style. I mean, being like a goth rock guy. And then just for what it's worth, my two little honorable mentions go to Archie from the 69 Eyes, because I'm a huge 69 Eyes guy, and that band legitimately brings me just a lot of joy. And I also love Jason Newsted from
Okay.
notably, of course, Metallica. But I love the stuff he did outside of that. He did a new, under his namesake. He did an album and an EP as the Newsted Band that I thought was insanely underrated. And
Oh yeah.
Songs like Machine and stuff like that were just like sick, gnarly songs.
And I've heard that's a pretty good live show too.
That's what I heard too. I never got to see James with the Newsted Band, but I always heard they were great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore for influences mixed with love affairs, and Nikki, Sean, Peter and Rachel with Archie and Jason nipping at their heels.
It's a good list.
So let's hear it, Angel.
I'm going to go with Cliff Burton.
Absolutely understandable.
Geezer Butler, Geddy Lee.
Get you all classic.
I know. I like it.
Yeah.
And Billy Sheehan. I mean, he's played with everybody.
Wow. That's great. I love that.
Yes. I like that. You're a good man, Angel.
Those are some really solid choices, man.
Yeah, dude. As far as the amount of records that all of our respective Mount Rushmores played on, Angel's top 4 played on like 500 albums.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Levin will help me catch up a little bit, but
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to answer Brian's question, the Beatles for sure, 100% the Beatles.
Yeah. Me too. Love me some Elvis. There's specific songs that mean a lot to me, but the Beatles just overall.
Yeah, I'm a blues guy as much as anybody, so I'm taking nothing away from Elvis.
Yeah,
but for just the raw awesomeness of a band. Like the Beatles really were just like nothing compared to them in their day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna throw it right back up to Jay. Jay, thanks for being patient. And
totally, brother. Absolutely. No worries. Metal Summoners, you guys are kicking ass, man. We're having a great time. We still got a little bit more time with James, but I am going to let you guys know that it is last call for alcohol. So any final questions, comments, anything you want to ask James, any curiosities you got, make sure that you flow them in so that way Angel sees them, and we can definitely make sure that you get your questions answered, because we always clear the board. You guys know that about us, but it is going to be that time for last call for alcohol. So James, when it comes to 2025, you've mentioned a tour that you guys are in talks about, which would be really, really exciting to hear the announcement of that. So Angel and I are super stoked about that, just like all the fans. Yep. How are you looking for how you want 2025 to shape up, and how are you, what are your goals for 2025? Are you looking to put a lot of legs under Unbound Live specifically, or do you also find yourselves as a band that really likes to get music kind of in the can? So is there studio plans as well?
I think there's going to be room for both. I think our focus really for 2025 is going to be touring behind Unbound.
Yeah.
We really want to take the opportunity to get on the road next year as much as possible. And it may just be us trying to overcompensate for the fact that we weren't really able to get out on the road at all and tour behind the first album. I mean, it released in October of 2020. So,
you poor guys.
Yeah, right in the middle of everything. And we're like, tour? What tour? We can't tour. We can't even get together to practice. So we're going to take advantage of every opportunity we can get our hands on to get this out on the road and in front of people in the next 12 to 18 months.
Nice. When it comes to the tour that you guys are, looking at and your plans to get out on the road, what can you tell us about the current set list? Is it likely going to be very Unbound heavy, or do you feel you owe it to Sin a little bit to give some love to those songs, since it was kind of a struggle during that blackout time for that album to really get the love it deserved?
Yeah, it's going to be very Unbound heavy. Just because we feel like these songs are really special, and the music that we're going out with in early 2025 has got a very aggressive edge to it. So to keep that crowd, we're gonna have to kick them in the nuts from the very first song and just keep kicking until they submit, and they're ready for the band, for the headliner. But we're gonna go out there, and we've got three real bangers that we're bringing in from the Sin That Saves You album. We've got two really heavy hitters off of the original EP that are going to make their way kind of in and out of the set. And we've got one that we've probably closed the set with one of these songs for, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 years. And it's one of those that just leaves you salivating and wanting more, So that one's probably going to make it into the set. But for the most part, you'll probably get 5 or 6 of the 9 songs from Unbound in that set list.
Very cool. And not only just for myself, again, kind of going back to a previous question, because I would kind of like to know this as well, but also I did have a fan of the show reach out to me earlier today who was really stoked to see that you were on the show, because they were really like stoked about that music video that they showed. They're like, I am so happy that because you're doing this interview, I was able to find this. For the fans that are curious, and frankly for myself, is Sanctuary going to be on the set list?
We've talked about that being on the set list for the 25 run, and we're probably going to try it out.
It's on the bubble.
Yeah, it's kind of on the bubble. It's a little bit more mellow than the rest of the album, but just because it's the Cult. It's 100%. Not but if it works, we'll run with it. We'll probably try it out pretty early. And if it doesn't seem to be working, then we'll do without it.
Absolutely, man, 100%. And now, out of curiosity and to have a little bit of fun, for your guys' 12-minute song, do we have to wait for you guys to be on a tour with Dream Theater to get that one live?
Hell, we may have to be on a tour with Dream Theater to get that one released. But no,
I'm sorry.
It's honestly, that particular song is something that we've identified as a priority to get out there. And if we've only got like a half hour or 45-minute set, I don't know that we'll take up, an entire third of that or half of that to play one song. So it's going to have to be a setting, probably, one of the shows that we're headlining for our audience to really kind of bring that one out.
The entire encore.
Yes, it's the whole encore. Like the sound guy's like, you guys have 5 more minutes. Okay, we've got one more song.
So just because you said it that way, I have to tell this little story. I was guitar teching for a Baltimore band called Love in Vain, and we were playing a festival, and one of the headliners was one of the Stephen Van Zandt, the late Stephen Van Zandt now. And man, it was a weird scene. So we were going on right after him, and he's, again, he's a Skynyrd guy. That's his family. And so he's playing all of his original music and splicing in his songs. And he was running this really long set. He had already cut into our set. So we're standing around waiting to go on the stage and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, guys, just want to let you guys know that, we got some great bands coming up for you in a little bit. And I don't want to take up too much of their time. And we're all looking at each other. We're like, well, you're already kind of doing that. And he goes into more music. And then, we're just standing around. We have basically lost our set by this time. And he's like, all right, guys, I got one more for you. And we're going to get off the stage. And we're like, how much more damage could you possibly do right now? And he starts playing Freebird
for 20 minutes.
And we all literally looked at each other and were literally like, you know what? Fine. Fuck this guy and fuck this. We started packing up. The promoter had to run us down and sweet talk the band into making us stay. And we're basically like, look, when he gets off the stage, your crew has 5 minutes to get us up there and set up and ready to go, or we're getting on the van and leaving.
Yeah.
Because, like, look, man, and I hate to speak ill of the dead, but it was just one of those unfortunate, unprofessional situations where, look, we understand that you're bigger than us. You're not bigger than your family because they're bigger than you. But we do understand that you're bigger than us. And we're still playing after you, but there's still a certain amount of respect that still comes with a live show, regardless of where people place in the lineup. And it was like, come on, bro. As the old saying goes, do better. But yeah, so that was the road, man. Don't be situation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I could definitely see that on one of your headlining shows. It's like, all right, fans, we want to try something out on you guys for this one. So we're going to give you guys all a second to pee or get a beer because we're going to still want you all right up here rocking out.
Grab a tea and a blanket. Come on.
100%. Absolutely, man, for sure. So, James, as we wind towards the end and before we let you go, one of the things we definitely want to make sure that we touch base on you for the fans, for the Salem's Child fans, as well as the Metal Summoners. Where can you guys be found? Let us know where Salem Child can be found for merch, music, all that fun stuff.
All right. All of our links are located at www.salemschild.com. And that's child with an E on the end. So www.salemschild.com. That'll open up to our webpage. Across the top, you can get to all of our socials. You can get to our web store. You can get to our YouTube channel, Spotify, all of that, all from that one link. I will, once this is posted, I will make sure that I circle back around. I'll get a link posted up where everybody can stream or download the new album. All in one nice little spot. You can get it on your favorite platform and get you all squared away.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And I've been on the website. You know, you can definitely get like merch there and stuff, which is super duper awesome. I was letting you know about that off the air. But do you guys also take merch out with you on the road as well? Like, can people get the physical record? Can they get a T-shirt or a sticker?
Absolutely. Everything that's on our merch store, you can get from us on the road.
Nice.
So we will have that with us. And if for some reason we run out, we will make sure that we have some way to get that merchandise to you.
Nice, man. Hell yeah. And before I kick it back to Angel and we start our final go around, what would you like to see as just an overall goal for 2025? What is kind of your current like vision for the trajectory of Salem's Child right now?
That's one of the questions that I anticipated going into doing some of these interviews or whatnot. But honestly, I don't think I was prepared for what's gone on really so far with Unbound. So what I'm saying is I had this bucket list of things that I wanted to achieve as a musician, and I'm running out of check boxes is what I'm saying. It's a great problem to have, but the thing is as you start dwindling those check boxes down, you start growing some other ones. And right now, I think on the edge of the horizon, my goal is by the end of 2025 to be in the process of planning either an Asian or European tour.
Nice. No, I definitely like that for sure. And there's similarities to what you were saying with the question that I just asked. But when you look at Salem's Child 25 years ago, 30 years ago when you guys began to right now, how have you seen the trajectory of the band? I mean, obviously for the band to still be doing their thing, putting out new music, you've of course got to be super stoked and very proud of everything that you have accomplished. But when you look back at those early years, the first 5 years versus let's just say, the last 3 where I normally would do a 5v5, but I'm taking COVID into consideration.
For sure.
So when you look at kind of your first 5 years building, kind of jamming with your lineup then versus your current 3 years where Sin had been out, leading to Unbound and now out, Unbound out, how do you compare the two? And how do you compare the tenure and history?
I don't even know that you really can compare the two. I mean, we're talking, almost 30 years apart from the very beginning to where we're at today. And, the industry was way different in the 90s. And, this band did pretty well kind of like building its way up in the organic way that bands did in the 90s. And we built our way up to where we were doing some of the bigger summer festivals like the Milwaukee Metal Fest and the Metal Meltdown in New Jersey. And there was like a Baltimore show that was part of that package as well that we did one summer. So we kind of felt like we were starting to step onto the national stage, probably as late as like 2002, 2003. But I think even then I would say that I wouldn't have even had a concept of what it is that we're doing now. It felt great. And we had some conversations with some labels at the end of the first run. But at that time, everybody's lives just kind of seemed more important than the band. And so we kind of wandered away from things. And then cut to 2014, we put together a little 10-year reunion for some of our local fans and almost sell the place out to our surprise. And we just had so much fun doing it. We talked about, just doing an album and a couple of shows. And of course, a couple of shows became a couple more shows, became a couple more shows, became another album, became a tour, and another album. And suddenly, somehow, we took this thing, out of my basement, and now we're kind of hitting the national scene. It's nuts.
That's killer, James. That's so fucking awesome, dude. And I love hearing stuff like that for sure. Do you have like a favorite like record label of like stuff that you really like to listen to? Are you into like Metal Blade or Frontiers or anything? Do you have like a record label that you kind of gravitate to when it comes to music?
I would say that a lot of the artists that I listen to have typically been either Metal Blade or Century Media bands.
Century Media, right on.
But like I came at the Metal Blade bands kind of sideways, like in kind of like the more proggy type elements. Fate's Warning was on Metal Blade when I discovered them. Like the Ocean Collective, one of my favorite bands right now, is a Metal Blade band. And but then I kind of get into like the heavier stuff, like the cattle decapitation stuff and things like that I'm into. That's Metal Blade too. They've got their hands in all of it, right?
They really do, because I'm a huge Lizzie Borden nerd.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely does fit your style. I like that. That's
cool. Yeah. No, absolutely, man, for sure. Angel, let's kick it back over to you, my friend. Has anything popped up from the Metal Summoners? And of course, any questions from yourself?
Just a few more final questions. From Brian, if you could sacrifice Lars to bring back Cliff or Phil Anselmo to bring back Dime, who's coming back?
What? That's a brutal question, Brian. Oh my God.
That's really tough. Gun to my head, if I had to choose, I will simply quote the song title or the working title of a song that our producer played for us of his band called "It Should Have Been Lars."
I have a friend who has a T-shirt that says that he wears a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, as a bass player, I'm gonna have to bring back the bass player. I mean, I hate that we'd have to sacrifice Lars, but I'm sure that we could probably find somebody that can, keep that 16th note pattern with the right hand. We'll be great.
I'm with you, man. I got to bring back the bass player, and also out of my own personal thing. I never got to see Dimebag live, and I would have absolutely loved that. But I have actually gotten to know and become friends with Phil over the years, and I can't sacrifice my buddy.
Yeah, yeah, I like Phil. Phil's good dude.
Yeah. Plus, Phil fronts about 15 bands, and we lose 15 bands if we sacrifice Phil.
I didn't think of it from that angle, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
No scour, no illegals, no
right.
he even has a band with Bill Moseley, the horror actor.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's literally called Bill and Phil.
Bill and Phil.
Yeah,
I love it. That's almost like a local act up here by one of the local promoters up here, and one of his best friends. It's Nick and Dick.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Right back up to you,
Joe. How do you feel about Johnny's vocal range from the first album to this album?
Oh man, it's like night and day. I mean, you put a blindfold on somebody and you don't tell them, they may think we had a different singer. This album, musically, seems to me a lot more aggressive than Sin, but vocally, he approaches it from more of a singing standpoint than the fry vocals and the growls and the gutturals that he was using a lot of in Sin. Now we're using a lot of layered sung vocals, which is particularly challenging for me because I end up handling a lot of the backup vocal duties in a live setting. So now suddenly, instead of being able to rely on my guttural vocals and kind of hide behind a growl, I've got to actually start singing some now. And there was a 4-song section in the set list we had for the release party for the album that had 4 of the new songs in it, back to back, and that was an incredibly challenging portion of the set for me. But I can't take anything away from Johnny. Johnny's done the work in the last couple of years. I mean, he's done the vocal training, the online coaching sessions and things like that. He's followed that whole Zen of Screaming program and done stuff with her, and just his vocal warm-ups and his exercises have made me a better singer. Just kind of emulating and following along with him pre-show sometimes. But the work that he has put in to develop his skills is just incredible. And I think it really shows on this album. I think that, he could take a little minor tweak to his voice here or there, and it would just make it an entirely different genre of metal. And he could do it.
And final question. The very first live show you attended?
The very first live show that I attended was in 1983. I was drug with all the enthusiasm that you could imagine a 7-year-old would have to go see Barry Manilow.
Oh.
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow was my first concert. And then after that, I saw Alabama a couple of times. It was honestly a pretty good show for a country music show. Mm-hmm. I think there was probably Debbie Gibson or a New Kids on the Block show somewhere when I was in wet pants. But the first show that I took myself to was Lollapalooza 92 in Chicago. And then the next show that I took myself to was Lollapalooza 93 in Indianapolis. So, but honestly, if I had to say the first huge, one single band show that I went and saw was in 1994. I got a graduation present from my brother to see Pink Floyd on the Pulse tour, and that was just incredible.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And that actually cures our boards. And again, can't thank you enough for hanging out with us.
Hey man, I really appreciate you guys having me. It's been a blast, man.
Awesome. No, for sure, James. Like that's the biggest thing with me and Angel that we always ask to make sure that everything's always good is that our big thing when it comes to this show is that you had a good time, you felt respected, you enjoyed the questions that were asked, you just had a good time, and that you felt that this was beneficial to not only yourself but also Salem's Child.
100%, man. I would love to come back and hang out with you guys anytime.
Absolutely, man. You're always welcome. We look forward to when tours get announced to have you back on, man. Bring the guys, if they're available. But hey, man, if it's the three of us rocking out, it's the three of us rocking out, man. But you're definitely always welcome. And if anything pops up on short notice, just reach out to me or reach out to Angel. Just be like, hey, is there like a 10-minute segment that I can pop up in just so I can talk about something? We're always going to say yes.
Cool. I mean, I'd love to do that. As soon as this tour gets announced or whatnot, I'll be hitting you guys up, and maybe we'll do something like that.
Please.
All right?
Absolutely, brother. We really, really appreciate it. Salem's Child fans, Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all of your guys' love and support for live music, support for the bands, and support for this show. Like you heard James talk about, get out there, support Salem's Child on the shows that have already been announced. But make sure you're supporting Unbound, their brand new record. Give it a listen. Check it out on all of the platforms. And also support the bands when it comes to physical copies and T-shirts, because that's also what's going to assist them getting out on the road, staying out on the road. So definitely make sure that you're supporting them with that. Anything that you guys are able to do for them, they appreciate and we appreciate. So check out Salem's Child Unbound, out right now on Pavement Music. And again, thank you so much for supporting this show. We're going to see you guys in 2 days, but before we let you go, Angel Alamo can be found at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram. James let you guys know about all of the socials already when it comes to Salem's Child, so you can find anything you need right on the website of salemschild.com. You can also find me on at salem.vampire on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook as well. And also make sure that you're showing a lot of love to our beloved brother behind the scenes and Psycho Steve at The Real Psycho Steve on Instagram as well. But we're going to let you guys go for this evening. We're going to let you guys relax for a little bit. But in 2 days, we will be right back live. Come and check it out and hang out with us as we have Caitlin Doty on the show. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about with her. But again, on behalf of James and Salem's Child, and on behalf of course, Angel and myself, we appreciate you guys. We want to give a shout out to the Mad Shad of the Mad Shad channel. He's the one who put together our bitchin' intro. We really appreciate him so much for putting that together for us. It's killer, and we love starting the show off with it. So you can give him a love, some follow on the Mad Shad channel on YouTube. But we will see you guys in 2 days. But get out there and support Salem's Child, and look forward to seeing James back on a future episode. Take care, be good to each other, and we'll see you guys in a couple of days. Take care. As always, you've been watching The Metal Summit.
Thank you, guys.